KHOU 11 is your education station, and we're getting you ready for the start of the new school year. Hey there, I'm digital anchor Brandy Smith. First, a thank you to everyone who's filled out our back to school survey. You shared your questions, which helps us get you answers. You can still fill out the survey if you haven't already. Look for it on KHOU.com or just text the word school to 713-526-1111 and we'll send you that link. Here's what we've learned so far from those of you who completed the survey. You're concerned about safety and security, teacher turnover, retention and loss, curriculum, and financial impact. So in this back to school special, let's talk about those issues. And we're going to start with money. With inflation, it feels like we have less and less, but schools are asking you to buy more and more. Tiffany Craig offers some tips.
This is Jax. He's 4, starting pre-K, and has a school supply list almost as tall as him.
They're asking for construction paper, 6 boxes of crayons.
And the list goes on. Maddie Davis is excited for Jax to start elementary, but has a grown-up worry about money.
How do you not pay your electric bill because you've got to get school supplies? How do you not buy groceries for a week so that you have that extra budget?
She has some items and is looking for deals, but it's tough when you live check to check.
It definitely takes a toll. It makes you feel like you can't take care of your child in certain ways. So, yeah, it's very hard.
Maddie's not alone. A new back-to-school survey suggests 77% of parents are somewhat or very worried about being able to afford expenses. Prices are up across the board. Any idea how much you'll spend?
I would imagine between the two of them, probably about $400.
Educators know it's going to be a tough year, too. Joanne Straight teaches biology.
And I don't know any teacher really that doesn't try to get in there and get some things.
Inflation is taking such a toll. The survey also finds 2/3 of parents will buy less this year because they simply can't afford more. Maddie is one of them.
Just, find my resources where I can, send him to school with what he's got, and hope that we can make it work.
These 3 retailers, Walmart, Target, and Amazon, are all trying to get you to spend your back to school budget online with them. But which one is actually offering the best prices? I hopped online to shop for some constants you'll see on just about every school supply list for every grade in every district. A clear backpack, 5 composition notebooks, a couple boxes of number 2 pencils, a pencil pouch, a box of colored pencils, loose leaf notebook paper, and 2 boxes of tissues. There are a lot of variables here. These retailers don't all share the same brands or even the same products from the same brands. What's available and extra fees can depend on whether you choose in-store pickup, delivery, or shipping. All that said, here's what I found. To ship these items from Walmart, I'm looking at a total of $35.91 before taxes. It was a little trickier at Target. The items were cheaper, $33.56 pre-tax, but you don't qualify for shipping unless you spend $35. So I ended up adding an extra box of tissues to reach that threshold. The final total for the items is $35.25. So even with that extra item, it was still a little cheaper than Walmart. Finally, Amazon. I shop the site as a Prime member, so if you don't have a membership, pricing will be different. I was also careful not to add products with added shipping fees. This cart, pre-tax, added up to $61.20. It was the most expensive by a lot. If you want to shop the same items I did, look for this article on KHOU.com. I included links for all of the items at all 3 retailers, though it is possible prices change between when I shopped and when you do. Some kids are truly in need, and KHOU 11 is partnering with the Houston Food Bank's Backpack Buddy program to help make sure students get fed outside of school. Ron Trevino explains the need and what you can do to help.
A lot of kids rely on school meals for breakfast and lunch during the week, but they go home to little or no meals on the weekend. And that's where the Houston Food Bank's Backpack Buddy program comes in.
So the Backpack Buddy program is for you would say the worst of the worst cases. These are the children that the teachers are identifying as they do not believe these children are eating consistently on the weekends.
As your education station, KHOU 11 has partnered with the Houston Food Bank to help fill that weekend meal gap for chronically hungry kids, providing nutritious, child-friendly food for them to take home over the weekend, during the school year, and during summer.
We're really grateful for KHOU for sponsoring the Backpack Buddy program. This really is a critical need for those kids who are most in need.
The job of feeding hungry families never stops in Houston. The Houston Food Bank is now celebrating its 40th anniversary.
But it's an incredible resource to help these families, and with the community banding together to make it so that we can do more, we are making a difference.
Our goal is to raise $40,000, which could provide weekend meals to more than 13,000 Houston area students. With just a $3 donation, you're providing 6 meals for a child over a weekend. Please help us stand for Houston. Ron Trevino, KHOU 11 News.
If you'd like to help, just point your phone's camera to the QR code on your screen right now. You can also visit khou.com/food drive to donate. Again, we're trying to raise $40,000. Thank you for any help you can provide. Parents aren't the only ones struggling to keep up with expenses. Melissa Correa shows us teachers are too.
Thank goodness for strangers. Their kindness is helping so many families prepare for the new year. From an 11-year-old collecting supplies for her Conroe classmates to Pasadena's push to fill the bus with notebooks and backpacks.
Scissors you have and glue.
As inflation rises to a 41-year high, the National Retail Federation reports a third of consumers say they're cutting back in other areas just to cover the cost of school supplies.
So everything's up a lot, and it's really biting into the purchasing power of the typical family.
It really adds up. It's mind-boggling, even to a teacher.
Like Robert Blaine.
This was my 3rd trip this week.
A high school government teacher we first profiled in 2017 as he purchased supplies for his students. He told us then
it costs teachers easily $300 to $400 a year.
5 years later, it's ballooned to
$1,999.97.
With an Amazon wish list, teachers like Blaine are hoping for help.
Teachers never really added up. We just see, oh, that's a good deal on notebooks, snacks for the kids who stay late because they may not have food until they get back for breakfast the next morning. It really floors me at how it takes a village.
Teachers across Houston and really the country are sharing Amazon wish lists. Our radio partner, Mix 96.5, is among those socializing posts in hope of clearing the list.
I'm lucky that half of my wish list has been fulfilled. I have great friends. A lot of teachers are scrambling.
Neither the state nor school districts fully fund required supplies, and because of that, a financial expert offers this advice.
Don't worry about spending hundreds of dollars on clothes and hundreds of dollars of school supplies. Have a good understanding of what the needs are going to be for that semester or for that year, and take it slowly.
And if possible, lean on the kindness of strangers, because without it, some teachers would have
no chance
of filling classrooms across Houston. Melissa Correa, KHOU 11 News.
According to our survey results, even more than money, parents are worried about curriculum. The pandemic has had major impacts on learning over the past couple of years, and some parents are starting to notice their kids have speech delays. Stephanie Whitfield shares the signs to look for and what you can do to help your child catch up.
I'm gonna show you some pictures and you're gonna tell me what you see.
Kingsley Sylvester is a pandemic baby.
Oink, oink, oink.
Born in June of 2020. Now 2 years old, she has a lot to say. Murphy Sylvester is always keeping tabs on her verbal progress because she's both mom.
What's that?
And a speech language pathologist. She sees firsthand how the pandemic has impacted children developmentally.
No one was going anywhere. There was no Thanksgiving, no Christmases. So you lost interactions, you lost playgroup time. So you were just hanging out with brother, sister, mom, or dad, or iPad, or toys. And so we lost a lot of that. And I see that in the field.
Ellen Ortega-Moore with Texas Children's Hospital says she's noticed parents have also become more in tune with possible communication delays.
I think people are worried about what the effects of the pandemic might be on kids this age. And the answer is that we just don't know.
She says it's important to watch your child and make sure they're constantly building on the skills they have.
Parents don't need to buy fancy toys or programs or apps to be able to work on these skills. The most important moments are those moments of interaction between a family and a child.
It's also important to seek help if your child isn't hitting milestones. Speech pathologists say the earlier you start therapy, the better.
We can help, and it is something that can be worked on just like a sport, so get in therapy, see what needs to be worked on, and then get out of therapy.
Stephanie Whitfield, KHOU 11 News.
One of the key metrics the state uses to gauge how students are learning is with the STAR test. And this year, it'll be done entirely online. That's not the only change. The Texas Education Agency announced a test redesign that moves away from multiple choice. So starting this school year, no more than 75% of the test can be multiple choice questions. The standalone writing assessments for grades 4th through 7th have also been eliminated. You can learn more about the new version of the STAR test on KHOU.com. Where kids learn can have a big impact on how they learn. Some of Alief ISD's youngest students get to attend 2 of the district's newest campuses. Michelle Choi gives us a behind-the-scenes tour.
Hey there, inside these 2 schools, you won't find your traditional desks and worksheets. No, pre-K students here will learn instead by experiencing real-life scenarios, including what it's like to be an astronaut. That's right. Right now, we're inside their Space City classroom, where you can see they've even got their own rover. How cool is that? But this isn't the only out-of-this-world experience students will have. Check it out.
They get to come in farm to table.
From learning about where food comes from.
They get to pretend to milk Bessie the cow right here and learn how to take care of her and where the milk goes to the stores.
Here at Martinez Early Learning Center, education is an immersive experience. One of 2 brand new Alief ISD campuses dedicated to teaching pre-K students. You won't find traditional classrooms here. Janae Jernberg is the principal.
It's a whole new way of teaching kids through experiences to help build background knowledge and vocabulary.
And they do it through hands-on learning.
Research shows, and this is not recent, this is for years, that 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, they learn through play. That's how they make sense of their world.
Mari Martinez is the district's early childhood coordinator. She spearheaded the 7-year-long project, and yes, one of the schools is named after her.
I'm excited. I'm a little nostalgic too because it's been such a long journey.
Each learning center is made up of 2 separate wings, or villages as they're called here, that mirror each other. Each village contains 3 neighborhoods: Voyages, Inquiry, and Discovery. Inside each of them are 4 unique classrooms with different themes. Students will spend 3 weeks in each classroom before moving on to the next, learning about everything from camping to Houston and the Alief community, or how the weather works and what it's like to be a meteorologist, to tinkering around and learning about construction, or what it's like to be a veterinarian. There's even a classroom dedicated to dinosaurs and Galveston.
It is really the Children's Museum every single day with purposeful learning and learning through play.
Even lunchtime will be a teachable moment with sit-down meals in the common area. The ultimate goal teachers here hope to achieve?
So I want them to have a love of school so that they can continue their academic career and be successful.
Yeah, how neat is this place, right? I'm told it'll take a full school year for pre-K students here to go through all 12 classrooms or experiences. By the way, registration is still open if parents are interested in enrolling their children here. Back to you.
As cool as those buildings are, they're rendered almost useless if they're not staffed. The greater Houston area is dealing with a significant teacher shortage. As of last week, more than 2,200 positions were still open in our area's 5 largest districts. Jason Miles reports that's a shortage one group saw coming and predicts won't be going away soon.
When the bell rings on the new school year, many classrooms will not be adequately staffed.
This is a challenge across the country.
Tara Kinney is chief of staff of the Learning Policy Institute, a nonprofit, nonpartisan education research organization that's tracked teacher shortages for years.
And they were an issue long before the pandemic hit and have only gotten worse.
LPI published this extensive report on the coming crisis before things got even worse. Just look at this line graph showing estimated supply and demand for teachers going in opposite directions. One issue, research shows declining enrollments in teacher preparation programs, down about a third from 2010 to 2018 alone.
And at the same time, we see very significant rates of teachers leaving the profession, what we call teacher attrition. And that attrition is actually what drives about 90% of the demand for new teachers.
Working conditions, inadequate support, and pay are among the reasons teachers say they leave for other careers.
And safety, of course, as you well know in Texas, is a much bigger challenge these days in schools. So the job of teaching is enormous.
In this separate study that came out just this past June, the Rand Corporation found that teachers have twice as much stress as other working adults. One who recently left the profession told me she's never been happier, while another is inspecting homes in the Hill Country rather than teaching history in Houston.
A new survey shows many of the teachers still on the job are considering leaving. Lauren Tallarico breaks down that survey's results.
It's a fragile system, and it's under a lot of strain right now.
Brian Henry is a former teacher and was one of many Cy-Fair ISD parents who showed up to speak out at the board meeting, worried about his children's education.
I'm concerned that at some point it's just going to become too much, that the best teachers are going to leave. No one's going to step up to replace them.
His concern isn't unwarranted. A new survey released by the Texas State Teachers Association shows 70% of the 688 teachers surveyed are seriously considering quitting this year. Why? The survey shows 70% of teachers feel support from parents has decreased. 85% think state lawmakers have a negative view on teachers. Last year, a law passed which aims to ban critical race theory, impacting how teachers can talk about current events. Several districts have also introduced book bans, placing more work on teachers and librarians.
Our educators are already overworked and understaffed.
Censoring books was up for debate too.
Exposing children inappropriately to sexual material at young ages is not censorship, it's protection.
The survey comes on the heels of districts across the state scrambling to fill open teacher positions. So the thought that 70% are thinking of quitting this important industry isn't sitting well with some parents.
70% is a pretty high number. So I guess I'm not surprised, but troubled.
I'm Lauren Tallarico, KHOU 11 News.
While districts try to deal with shortages in the classroom, getting students to school may be a challenge as well. HISD and other large districts are looking to recruit new bus drivers. They've spent the summer hosting job fairs, offering on-site training and incentives to bring new drivers on board. Adjusting bell schedules and routes are ways they're trying to make the most of those they do have behind the wheel. We have an article about that on KHOU.com. Now let's address the #1 concern from people who filled out our KHOU 11 Back to School survey: safety and security. Last school year ended a week after the school shooting in Uvalde, and in the months since, we've been working to get you answers about how districts plan to keep your kids safe. Reporter Jason Miles checks out the changes in Cy-Fair.
It all starts at the entrance, where visitors to this school and others are buzzed in on camera before entering a secondary vestibule known as a man trap. And while the glass behind me appears normal, it's not. Cy-Fair ISD tested bullet-resistant glass with a rifle, shotgun, pistols, even hammers and axes, and is equipping classrooms with both intruder lock sets on doors and lockdown buttons that share, along with new classroom phones, their exact locations inside a school when used. Meantime, walls have been added to open concept interiors in many elementary schools, and the latest surveillance cameras capture activity inside and out. It's all an effort to slow down any suspect in the event of a crisis from the outside.
That's what keeps me up at night, and I'm sure superintendents across the state, is that anyone would ever cause harm, not only to our children, but our staff.
Threats to middle and high schools often come from inside, like from a student. That's where anonymous tips and intervention play an important role as well. There's a lot more information on Cy-Fair ISD security plan and the plans of other districts on KHOU.com. Reporting from Yeager Elementary School, Jason Miles, KHOU 11 News.
In Fort Bend ISD, law enforcement agencies beyond just district police will conduct random checks. That means walking around campuses, checking doors, and adding an extra layer of protection.
Look, school shootings, we find out that these shooters look for soft targets. And I don't want our schools to be a soft target anymore.
Fort Bend County Sheriff Eric Fagan says law enforcement officers are trained to rush in and neutralize a gunman as soon as possible. KHOU 11 anchor Mia Gradney is hosting a number of town hall conversations with the leaders of local school districts. She's getting your questions answered, and you can watch the full videos on the KHOU 11 YouTube channel. Here's how Spring ISD's police chief addressed perimeter security around schools.
So we have some semblance of fencing on property. Not all of our properties have what we call hardening, have the ability to be totally encased. That is something that we are exploring into some options moving forward in the future. Most of those camps that do not have fencing around it, we are increasing our patrols for those areas.
Chief Culbreth added that Spring ISD has 65 officers. Some are dedicated to schools, others are tasked with checking campuses throughout their shift. Again, you can watch the full Q&A with leaders in Spring, Pearland, and more on our KHOU 11 YouTube channel. Perhaps no local community knows the anxiety of returning to school after a tragedy more than Santa Fe. After a mass shooting at the high school 4 years ago, teachers there are facing their fears and learning how to respond smarter to safety issues. KHOU 11 investigative reporter Cheryl Mercedes went inside with some of those teachers.
It was May 18th, 2018. A gunman at Santa Fe High School killed 10 people.
I think my mom says there's no way that could be happening in Santa Fe, Texas.
Ruben Espinoza had planned to retire from DPS that month, but found himself here instead.
Ruben Espinoza, I'm your chief of the ISD police. Thank you for being here this morning.
Now he teaches new hires how to respond in an active shooter situation.
Everyone counts on the school district to protect their kids. It's a heavy responsibility.
The course, known as Civilian Response to Active Shooter Events, teaches survival strategies.
Rationalize these gunshots.
It includes studying previous school shootings, listening to 911 dispatch calls, and learning from past mistakes.
The shot's getting closer and closer.
It's just reality now that we have to expose people to this type of stuff.
The class is a first for many participants like Liz Vickers, a first-time teacher.
It can make you feel a little apprehensive about going in the profession, but really it kind of empowers you because we can't live in fear. We have to be prepared.
Chief Espinoza tells them it can be as simple as routinely locking their classroom doors.
Because when you're under a lot of stress like that, your hands are not going to be calm. You're going to be shaking.
Praise teaches participants to avoid giving the gunman access to their classrooms, denying them entry by barricading doors. And if that doesn't work, defend.
You're going to have to dig deep and do something.
Even if that means facing their greatest fear as a teacher.
Are you prepared to do that?
Yes, absolutely.
Santa Fe ISD requires all of its new hires to take the course, which also includes treating wounds and how to conduct campus emergency preparedness drills. Refresher courses are also offered throughout the school year. Back to you.
Get ready for a whole lot more people on the road as kids head back to school. KHOU 11 traffic expert Jennifer Reyna shares some safety reminders.
Remember, back to school means school buses, and you have to stop for any school bus with its flashing red lights on. It's the law. The only exceptions are on roads with a divider down the middle, and once the bus is moving or the lights stop flashing, you can keep moving. And consider yourself warned, the fine for passing a stopped school bus is at least $500. You can get more important back to school information. Just text the word school to 713-526-1111, and we'll send you links right to your phone.
This is a great time to save that number in your phone. Again, it's 713-526-1111. You can text keywords like school, weather, traffic, and we'll send you links. Or you can text us questions, concerns, and comments that way. That's also the best way to share your celebrates suggestions with us. Just send us a picture with the person's name, what they're celebrating, and when they're celebrating it. It is a really easy way to stay connected with KHOU 11. So is the KHOU 11 News app, which is free. Download it to get the latest headlines, and you can set up what kind of notifications you want. Think severe weather, maybe breaking news. You can also use the Near Me feature to send photos or videos of news in your neighborhood. We hope that helps you get ready for this school year. But remember, you can always reach out to us if you have more questions. Use 713-526-1111 to text us, or you can email news@khou.com. Here's to a safe and amazing school year for all the students, teachers, and parents out there.